People deluded, I'm back again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. If you give me a second, people, I'll share my screen and we'll go over what has actually been put in the papers and whatnot in relation to Arsenal's transfer news and rumours. Allegedly, Lokonga is moving closer to joining Sevilla. We've been linked with Kounde of Barcelona, and there's plenty of other stuff. Now, anything I missed, the good news is I released a video out earlier today, so check that out, people. One love for you lot tuning in, and let me share my screen. Stop the rambling, let's get into it now. First silly rumour of the day. Arsenal have contacted Barcelona about the availability of defender Jules Kounde in recent days, says Gerard Romano, who, you know, tends to do a lot of content in relation to Barcelona. Let me know your thoughts on Kounde. Now, I remember The Athletic doing a piece on Kounde a few years ago and saying he was the first choice before Benjamin White. And I mean, you know, Mikel Arteta is a madman in a good way. You know, again, I don't think the central midfield experiment with Kai Havertz worked, but many people wouldn't have signed Kai Havertz anyways. Ramsdale had a lot of bad about him and a lot of question marks, but generally he was a good goalie. Many people wouldn't have gone for David Raya. So Arteta might be thinking of something, if I'm completely honest. But for me, I doubt all transfers, as I say, unless they're holding shirts and saying they used to watch Henry, Ian Wright, Bergkamp, etc. When they were younger, and they're pictured around the training ground in the Emirates. I don't believe anything. And I don't believe it as well because, again, I'm sure there's an element of interest in Kounde. You know, if we could have Kounde, Saliba and Gabriel as centre-half options, and obviously Kounde can play right-back, so him and Benjamin White, that would be great. And, you know, to be fair, there'd be a lot of defensive options. But I don't believe it because Barcelona seem to be in the need to make players depart so they can make money. Kounde is someone that's always linked with moves away. There has been some reports that while for France he plays right-back and he has a lot of times for Barcelona, he sees himself as a centre-half. Now, as we get better as a team, of course, you know, we can't just say we're not going to sign a top level footballer because we've already got some. And competition is, you know, is what we're in the sport for, essentially. So to have him, Saliba, all fighting, and Gabriel fighting for a spot, and, you know, you technically have Benjamin White, Timber, Tomiyasu, Broadly, Kirill, everybody's fighting for a defensive spot. I wouldn't be against it, but I don't buy it because it's going to be an expensive outlay in terms of what they probably want and in terms of his wages, and it doesn't appear a priority. It does seem like if we are to sign a defender, it would be a left back outright or a versatile left-sided centre back or someone that can play left back as well as centre half. So I don't believe it, but let me know your thoughts. Maybe I'm wrong, you know, and you would imagine he's going to be expensive. So where, I mean, everybody's expensive in today's day and age, but where significant outgoings in terms of spending is concerned, surely you're better off spending something significant in midfield if there still is any striker targets, because Sesko isn't arriving now, or maybe a wide man. For me, it doesn't make sense, but I wouldn't turn it down. I'm not necessarily against it. I just don't buy it, and it would be an improvement in our squad, and obviously it's competition for places, but I don't understand it for what it's worth. Keeping up the theme with Barcelona, we have been linked with Fai before, and I've done a video on him. HITC understands that Arsenal have asked about the availability of Barcelona defender Fai. Sources have told HITC that Fai's versatility is said to appeal to those at Arsenal, with the player able to play centrally or on the left. So we're more likely to sign him, if anything. You know, he's someone that's apparently highly rated at Barcelona, but minutes have been hard to come by. And equally, as I'm making this video, he's been aggressively linked with Porto, and last summer, Barcelona rejected bids. I'm sure with the youth project, with Arsenal, with Mikel Arteta, there's many reasons for him to sign for us. But with the greatest of respect, surely it makes sense to not go to a Barcelona and Arsenal, make a step down to a club in the top 5 division where you can play, and then this move will happen again. So I'm not sure. Apparently, one potential stumbling block in the deal is Barcelona's demands. £12 million move to Porto stalled due to a buyback clause of a similar value that Barcelona insisted on including in the deal. These clauses are understood to be a non-starter for Arsenal, and this is also a non-negotiable for those at Barcelona. Can't tell Mikel Arteta about non-negotiables, and that don't make sense. They're trying to little man us, really. That's like when Real Madrid back in the days were just flogging anyone to get Getafe and them clubs respectfully and then buying them back. I mean, it makes sense for Barcelona to have a sell-on clause and a buyback clause. For us, that's an idiot thing. So if that is true, that's where that one is put to bed, people. Now, Lokonga is someone that clearly doesn't have a future at Arsenal Football Club. Sevilla have agreed personal terms with Albert Sambi Lokonga in a 3 million euros loan move. Arsenal want to include a mandatory purchase in the deal, while Sevilla are insisting on a buy option. I mean, buy option, it means we'll be in the similar mess we've seen when he's come off the Luton and Crystal Palace moves. Obviously, he's technically got a year left on his deal, but technically 2 years. He has an option of another year. We all know it hasn't worked out for Lokonga. So I would like to see a permanent departure. The man's kind of alluded to it in an interview. And for him, I think you need some stability. You've been at Anderlecht, Arsenal, Luton, Crystal Palace, and now whether it's Sevilla or somebody else, which is a massive club in a great league. And to be honest, I don't see how you help them, but yeah, you need some stability. So I'm rooting for you. And if you can show your quality that got you bought for millions of pounds from Arsenal, why not? We've got a lot to do in terms of outgoings. You know, I'm not sure where Kieran Tierney's future lies with his injury, but between Tierney, Ramsdale, Eddie Nketiah, Reece Nelson, Smith Rowe, Lokonga, Tavares, and many more, that, you know, there's speculation over several players' futures, but I don't think there's anything Lokonga can help us with. You know, you're not mature enough, in my opinion, to play as a lone six. I do think you're an 8, but I don't think you're an Arsenal 8. You know, you are good, but it's not really anything to scream and shout about. So some money's better than none. This article has said it's set to be £2.5 million, which is some money. Again, Sevilla are in advanced talks, allegedly, with Arsenal over a deal. Discussions are still ongoing whether the move will be a loan with an option or an obligation, but it is agreed in principle that Lokonga will be playing his future, obviously, at Sevilla. I hope it's a permanent move or an obligation, because it means that, you know, if it's an option and Sevilla don't take it, then we're gonna have to deal with this next summer. He did say a few weeks ago, people, and it's great of the article to have it here. I think that my time at Arsenal is slowly coming to an end. I had a discussion with the club, and what was said is the best solution for me was to leave. I have a 1-year contract plus a 1-year option, so now it's up to the club and my agent to find the best solution. Amen. And we wish you all the best, people. Pedro Neto, it wouldn't be a transfer window if we wasn't linked with him. Pedro Neto is on the radar of Manchester City, Tottenham, Arsenal, Newcastle. Wolves, who expect Neto to leave this summer, are willing to listen to offers of around 60 million. I mean, it's not the biggest of fees. Obviously, if you're Arsenal to drive that down, unfortunately, when you think of Pedro Neto and all the qualities he could give Arsenal, he is very injury prone. So we'll have to watch him. He's obviously playing at the Euros now. We've been linked with Rodrygo. I would love us to sign a superstar like Rodrygo. Obviously, with, you know, Real Madrid just buying all the wonder kids and Mbappe's, you know, arrival, it's easy for a journalist to talk about Rodrygo leaving. And why would you want to leave now? I actually think there's a realm where they could all exist. There, you know, injuries, different options happen, but you could have Vinicius and Mbappe up front / on the left rotating. You could have Rodrygo or centrally or on the right, and you could still get some players in there. I would love it to happen, and I don't believe this, but just for you, let's humor ourselves. Mikel Arteta has promised Real Madrid forward Rodrygo a prominent role if he joins Arsenal in the summer transfer window. According to reports, he'd be great off the left-hand side, or maybe even him in the 10 and Odegaard in the rotating 8, or to have that option. I don't buy this, man. Reports out of Spain claim Arteta has promised Rodrygo will be the star of Arsenal if he joins Arsenal in the summer. It's going to take big wages and big money, and where the Champions League is concerned, we'd love this kind of thing, but it's an absolute myth, if I'm very honest with you. So that's where that is. But let me know you lot's thoughts on that, people. Fulham and Crystal Palace are still being linked with Emil Smith Rowe. Apparently, we've got a 40 million price tag on his head. Partey still linked with a move potentially to Saudi Arabia. I covered this already, but Arsenal, one of many clubs showing an interest in Bologna defender Riccardo Calafori. However, at the moment, it's not a negotiation. So showing interest in terms of bids, personal terms, and getting deals over the line, whether it's because he's at the Euros or it's probably a bit too premature for Arsenal to do such, that is not happening at this moment in time. We have also been linked with Eze, people, and we won't be the only ones queuing up for Eze. He'll cost big money. And as much as we're getting frustrated about the lack of signings, Arsenal have actually signed someone. Lucas Nordgaard joins our academy. He's an 18-year-old Danish youth international. He's a goalie. He's spoken here about, you know, being able to play with his feet. Now, respectfully to him, big him up. It's a great, you know, welcome to the family. This isn't what Arsenal fans wanted to see as their first signing, but we have to be patient. I do think once you get to mid-July / August, that's when the transfer window as a whole, especially because the tournaments are done, are going to kick off. And I would also say this gives me promise, because obviously this is a young player, but for me, it kind of follows Fabio Vieira to a degree, during Timber, who was linked with Man United, and even to a degree when we started putting the building blocks for the Gabriel Jesus deal. Nobody knows what's going on. Now, in a big organization like Arsenal, you can't control leaks, but we've done very well of keeping things under wrap. This came out of nowhere. So Arsenal probably are working on something behind the scenes. Now, I'm not saying we're going to get superstars. I'm not saying we're going to address every area of the football pitch that we'd like. I'm not saying the players will be universally favored at the point of arriving at the club, but it does give you promise in that let's just be calm, judge every day as it comes, and keep it moving. Like, of course, I want to see signings in early, but I always say I'll reserve collective judgment on our business when the deadline day comes, people. So, yeah, welcome to the carpet. I wonder if you'll indirectly be third choice goalkeeper because Karl Heinz signed a new deal. You'd imagine he badly needs a loan. I mean, the man's played for his country, Estonia, more than Arsenal's first team. We've let a couple of young keepers go. So I wonder if indirectly he's the third choice goalie. And obviously, if and when Ramsdale departs, another one comes in. And obviously, we're going to make David Raya's deal permanent. So technically, 3 goalies, could be signed this summer. So we'll have to see, people. Obviously, let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. Check out the other content. Any news, rumors, reports, and those things, you'll get videos from the boy, man. But on that note, appreciative to my long-term supporters. If you're new here, subscribe. Big up you lot. Let me know your thoughts on everything we've discussed. And let me know if you're actually confident that Arsenal will do the business in the transfer window this summer so that we can do the business on the pitch and maybe Pip City, third time lucky to a Premier League title. Saying that, Pep probably leaves after this upcoming season. I'm sure he wants to create even more history and get a 5th peat. Pep Guardiola, come on, let your protege Arteta control 1 Premier League title, man. But yeah, on a serious note, people, big up you lot for listening. Peace.